Hey guys, before we get going, I just wanted to take 1 second and talk to anybody that's visiting us for the very first time. We wanted to say thanks for joining us. We know that going to church can maybe be a little bit weird and maybe watching it online feels strange, but we wanted to let you know that we're super excited that you would join us, and I bet you're going to have fun if you just stick around.
This time alone at home and you're cooped up, but we just wanted to invite you to engage this morning in worship with us. We are really excited that you're joining us. In fact, we have people joining us from all over. I have my Colorado mug because I got my mom actually just said she's going to be joining us online from Colorado, from her living room, and so I know there are a lot of people who are watching online. So we want to hear from you, how you're connecting with us. If you can, in the comments below, if you're connecting with us on Church Online or any one of our platforms, we want to encourage you to put in the comments where you're at this morning, where you're connecting with us. And so we want to invite you to just engage in some time of worship. We're going to spend a few moments in worship. We're going to dive into the Word. And yeah, we're so glad that you joined us.
Good morning, everybody.
Feel
believe that you are the God of miracles, and we pray that over the next few moments that you would speak to us loud and clear. God, we open ourselves up to you wherever we are, in our living rooms, in our cars. We just lean into you right now. In Jesus' name. Take a look at this video.
Hey, isn't technology great? We would love to stay connected with you. You can actually go to our website at elevatecommunity.church. We'll be updating it often. On our website, you'll be able to find a full list of groups that you can join us virtually via Zoom. We'll also have our current Bible reading plan. Hey, and if it's your first time, you can actually listen to some of our past messages from when we were meeting in person. We would love to connect with you. As you know, there's a lot of hurting people in the world around us. As a church, we're doing our best to help reach as many people as possible. But we need your help. We would love for you to continue and partner with us in giving. There's one of three ways that you can do that. You can go to our website at elevatecommunity.church/give. You can text any amount to 84321, or if you're watching with the Church Online platform, you can click on the banner below. In times like these, it's important for us to keep the church strong so that we can be there for people when they need us. We're going to take 1 minute to do just that. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, welcome to Elevate Online. We are so excited that you are here, and we are going to ask a question that we ask every week. But before we even get there, what I need you to do is give someone an air 5 if you survived the first week of quarantine. Go ahead and air 5 somebody. Yeah, do that right now. Do that right now. All right. We're gonna be here this morning in our living room. We're coming to you from our living room straight to yours or your car or wherever you're tuning in. And so we have a question of the day that we usually ask. And what I want you to do is I want you to ask somebody this question. Maybe you can answer it yourself. And so here is the question of the day. Let me put it up here on the screen. Here's what it says. Question of the day: have you enjoyed being quarantined? That is your question of the day. So if you've enjoyed being quarantined, let's talk about it. We're going to take just a moment, talk about it with someone, and we'll get right back to you. We're going to put some house music on. Home music. Anyways, we'll be right back with you. Have you enjoyed being quarantined? We're just going to need to keep this mic on for us. Thank you. All right, so listen, I've enjoyed being quarantined mostly. Maybe for some of you, if you're an introvert, you go, yeah, this has been awesome. And for my extroverts people, man, I'm telling you, I've been like cooped up, going small, kind of crazy. I want to show you, I love memes, and so I want to show you a couple of memes that we found that kind of explain where we're at right now as maybe a nation. I know definitely in Hawaii, Coco and Riley have said, yes, we enjoyed quarantine. So, but here's the first one. This one I think this has been me this week, honestly. At least 2 times this week, I've forgotten what day it is. Like, I have no idea. I'm like, man, it's Thursday. Nope, it's Tuesday. Man, it's Friday. Nope. Like, it's been a lot. Like, I'm not sure what is happening with what day it is, and maybe you're like that being quarantined. Here's another one. Let me show you this one. This one's funny. Because marriage is marriage, even in quarantine. This is great. Husband, where do you want to eat tonight? The wife, I don't know. Upstairs, downstairs, maybe outside. You know I can't make these kinds of decisions. It doesn't matter if you can go anywhere. We are still struggling with where to eat. Everybody that's married, go like this. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe put a thumbs up in the comments. Okay, what about this one? This one is a special announcement that you guys all need to see. Check this one out. Here's our special announcement in case you were wondering. 8 p.m. is now the official time to remove your day pajamas and to put on your night pajamas. You know what I mean? So that's just, if you were wondering, that's the time that you want to do that, is 8 p.m. It's for those of you that are non-essential. Where's my non-essential people at? Yes. For those of you that are essential, you're like, what? I'm still going to work. This is terrible. And thank you. Listen to me. Thank you for working. You guys are awesome. Okay. Let me show you another one. This one's funny because we've been thinking about this year and like how many crazy things have happened. You're like, man, if we can just get past May, we're going to be okay. But I saw this one. This one's really funny. I bet we've seen everything bad in these 3 months. April will be better. April. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe the Death Star is headed towards us. We have no idea. Man, but it feels like it has been crazy so far. But one thing that's been really good, even though we're not meeting in person, we wanted to make a special announcement. This actually didn't hit the announcements. This is something that we're adding later. But just so you know, we're going to be offering drive-by baptisms. So when your church is closed, you know, but people got to get baptized. So, skadoom, dad jokes. I don't know. Anyways, but hopefully you are enjoying quarantine. Hopefully that while you are living, you're not going too crazy. You're making some space for yourselves. But I want to share something that Pastor Dennisa said last week, and it's really important for you and I to remember. And I love this. She said, God is still moving even though the world is standing still. And you know what? That's true. God is still moving even though it feels like things have come to a halt. Everything is crazy. Really just the economy, business, everything is kind of slowed, but God is still moving. And so that's the thing that we want you to know. And there's a lot of good things that have come out of this time, this quarantine for Hawaii. It's been a week. But families are getting closer. They're eating together. Kids are actually getting sick of being on their phones. Like, I'm bored already. Like, ugh. And like we're playing outside more. People are reaching out for prayer a lot. And God is answering those prayers. And so it's awesome to see a lot of people finding faith because people are looking for answers right now. And so for you and I, we've got to recognize that God is still moving even though it feels like the world is standing still. So we're in a series right now called Finding Faith. And if you feel like you're looking for answers, listen, you're not alone. A lot of people are looking for this. If you're watching on our online platform, we're connected with several different churches. In fact, thousands of different churches. And last week alone, they had 28,000 people click the banner that's going to appear below. And basically what that means is I want to find faith in Jesus. 28,000 people in one day. That's a lot of people looking for answers. That's a lot of people looking for faith. So God is doing big things, and we want to encourage you guys. If you want to share stories of faith, things that God is doing in your life, you can hashtag Finding Faith elevate and share something that God is doing in your life, we're going to highlight those and repost those kind of things. So whatever social media platform you use, go ahead and tag us. We'd love to check it out. We'd love to be a part of this. But here's the thing that I wanted to be honest with you. And one of the things at our church, one of our values is this idea of being authentic, being real. And so I wanted to take a minute and really be real with you if I could. Sometimes it's hard to know what to think. If you're like me, you've been kind of back and forth. I've been back and forth. Some days I'm like, we're going to be okay. Everything's going to be good. Yay! God's in control. And then other times, man, I'm freaking out like about what's going to happen next. And let me tell you something right now. If you're like this, it's okay. You are okay. Look at somebody in the house and say, you're okay. If you've been like this, you're okay. I'm like this, and it's okay. It's hard not to be consumed when your whole life is, when your whole life is this. I saw another meme. I'm a meme guy. Watch this one. Do you have plans? Me. Disney Plus, laying down, hanging out by my fridge. It's hard not to be consumed when this is your life right now. Y'all, cabin fever is real. Give me an amen if you know that cabin fever is real. I know it's been real for us, man. My poor son, he's the guy that's in charge of fun at our house. Man, he's been like, Dad, I'm bored. And just about every 20 minutes he comes in and what are we doing? And for Dennisa and I, we work from home, and obviously we're the stay-at-home kind of people anyway, but it feels like we've had more work to do, and like getting all the stuff set up and setting up a recording studio in our house. It's been difficult. It feels like I'm working more without margins because now we're working all the time, and Zeke, poor thing, is going, Dad, when are we going to have fun? And so we've been trying to do those things, but cabin fever is really real. But here's the thing that I learned this week, that I kind of rediscovered this week, and I'm hoping that if I share it this morning, that you will. That's going to help you if you're feeling like this, kind of back and forth. Here's the thing. I've been waking up with all this stuff on my mind. Normally, I sleep well. Normally I wake up and I'm like happy-go-lucky. I'm that guy that pops out of bed and goes, hi, everybody. I don't know. And I'm really annoying to my wife and my daughter. They are the sleepers in the family. Olympic-level sleepers. So I wake up and I'm happy, but lately I've been waking up with just heaviness on my mind. I've been waking up like just thinking about things, thinking about what's going to happen. I've been thinking about the future. I've been thinking about the world. I've been thinking about Elevate and all of you. And I've been thinking about those of you that are tuning in for the very first time. I've been waking up with these things on my mind. And so what I needed for someone to tell me things were going to be okay. That's what I needed. Everything is going to be okay. And so in my mind, I would wake up and go, who should I call so that they could tell me everything is going to be okay? But here's the problem. All the people I would call that would normally tell me everything is going to be okay, you're freaking out, Zach, are also going through what you and I are going through. Everybody is hoping and praying everything is going to be okay, and I believe it will. But the truth of the matter is that we don't know how long this is going to take. And so there's not a whole lot of comfort in those voices. And so when I wake up, I have this urge to call people. I have this urge to go, hey man, tell me it's going to be okay. But everybody, we're all in the same boat. Maybe you feel like that. Maybe when you wake up, if you're an extrovert, maybe even if you're an introvert, you wake up and you need someone to say it's going to be okay. Even as a pastor, sometimes I forget to read the Bible. And so the morning that this happened, I woke up and I had all this stuff on my mind, and it felt heavy. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to read the Bible. And so I opened up my phone, which has my Bible reading plan, and just so happened we're reading in the book of Jeremiah. It's a book in the Old Testament. Maybe some of you have read it. Maybe you've never heard of it, and that's okay too. And I'm going to give you a really brief summary of who Jeremiah was. Jeremiah, in fact, I found a picture of him. Jeremiah was a priest who lived in Israel about 655 BC. That was 650 years or so before Jesus was born. He was a priest. He was a good guy. He was like a pastor. And but God had called him. This is the picture of him. God had called him to kind of preach to the Israelites and point out some of the things that they were doing wrong. And he didn't love it, but he was obedient to what God had asked him to do. He really felt like God asked him to do this thing. And so he called him to be a prophet, and Jeremiah started speaking and preaching out against the people and all the junk stuff that they were doing. They were doing some really horrible things, like sacrificing their kids to idols, mutilation. Like, there were some really terrible things happening, and so he stood up and said, "This is wrong, guys," and because of it, nobody liked him. Also, during that time in Israel, they began to be attacked by different countries, by different nations, by the nation of Babylon. And so in Jeremiah's time, a lot of bad stuff was happening. He was kind of preaching out against it. Nobody liked him for it, and bad stuff just kept happening. And his situation went from bad to worse. He wasn't popular, and eventually the Babylonians came in, and they actually burned the capital of Israel and led them all off as slaves. For Jeremiah, life sucked. It was really bad. And here's the thing you got to know about him. He was a pretty good guy. He was just trying to do what was right. And maybe that's where you are. I zoomed in on this picture because I really like it. Just the picture of Jeremiah. Look at this. He's got this look on his face like, what is happening? Like, what's next? Like, this stinks. Like, oh my gosh, right? And some of you might look just like Jeremiah. In fact, you might be able to relate with him right now. So we pick up in Jeremiah chapter 15, and for me, this is where I started reading that day I was overwhelmed. I woke up with all this stuff on my mind. I started reading in Jeremiah 15, and I felt like I related to him. Here's what it says. It says, "Why then does my suffering continue? Why is my wound so incurable?" Maybe you're feeling like this right now. Like, when is my suffering going to end? How long is this going to take? Like, man, maybe for you, you just lost your job. How long is my suffering going to continue? How long am I not going to be able to work? Why is my wound so incurable? Maybe you know people that have been struck by coronavirus or infected, or maybe you've heard about it and you're scared. Why does this seem so incurable? Why is this so scary right now? Maybe you're overwhelmed with so much on your mind right now. Maybe you're a teacher and you're desperately trying to figure out how to effectively teach online. Distance learning is going to be difficult for a little while. Imagine being a teacher of elementary school kids. How do you do that? I don't know. Maybe you're a healthcare worker and you got to go to work every day and deal with people that could possibly be infected, and there's not enough masks and there's not enough protection, and then you're coming home and you're worried about bringing things home to your family. That's a real concern. Maybe you were just laid off and you're worried about how you're going to pay bills. This is kind of where Jeremiah finds himself. Why then does my suffering continue? I'm a pretty good guy. I'm trying to do what's right. Why is my wound so incurable? But he goes on to say, your help, and he's talking to God. Your help seems as uncertain as a seasonal brook, like a spring that has gone dry. I feel like I can't count on you. I'm going to you for refreshment, but there's nothing there. Maybe you feel like this. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you're a Christ follower this morning, and you're not sure where God is in all this. I've thought that. Maybe you're not quite sure about faith this morning, but let me tell you, wherever you find yourself, listen, you're not alone. And I could totally relate with Jeremiah. In fact, that's what happened to me that morning. I had all these things on my mind. I'm reading Jeremiah, and I said, that's me. That's me. So here's my question for you. Where do you go when you're burdened down? Like, what do you do? Here's what's crazy about the time that we're living in right now. Most of us run to our distractions. A lot of us, we run to sports. And there's a lot of things happening when it comes to sports. Football and baseball and soccer and bowling and, all these other things. Table tennis. There's all these sports that we watch and we fill our minds with. But now there's none. Maybe for some of you, you run to your friends. And you go hang out with them and spend time. Right now, there's none. Maybe for some of you, you would go to the movies and just binge on movies. Man, I wish I could afford that. That'd be awesome. But now you cannot. Where do you go when you feel burdened down? Maybe some of us you're watching for the first time, and you go to clubs or parties, and that's how you chose to cope when you felt burdened. We don't have that anymore. Maybe for some of you, and probably this is me, you run to your work. You just get busy doing things, and man, I gotta pour myself into the work that I'm doing, and now maybe you don't have a job, or you're working from home, and you're kind of going nuts. I want you to know some good news this morning. Jesus gives us an option to go, a place to go when we're feeling burdened down. And if you're following along on the Bible app, this is in Matthew chapter 11. But here's what it says. It says, Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you." Raise your hand if you're a you. Go ahead, do it right there. It might feel awkward, but raise your hand if you're a you. That's me too. He said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." Man, doesn't that even sound nice? Maybe you're not feeling all of this, and maybe quarantine has been great for you, but maybe you have kids at home and you're trying to figure out how to do homeschool. That's someone that's weary and heavy burdened. What do we do? How do we make space for it? Maybe you're watching and you live in a small apartment. Maybe you're just trying to figure out where to put people. Maybe you're trying to understand, God, I've got all these worries, I've got all these burdens that I'm trying to, like, where do I work? How do I find time for all of this? How do I keep the kids busy? This is a lot of us right now. You're not alone. And here's what he goes on to say in verses 29 and 30. He says, "Take my yoke upon you." If you've never heard that word before, a yoke is basically just a weight or a burden. It's like a responsibility. He says, "Take my yoke upon you and let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle of heart." The reason why he put that in there is because he's not mad at you for bringing your burdens to him. He's not frustrated with you for coming and going, "Man, I'm burdened down." Like, he wasn't mad at me the morning I woke up with all these things on my mind. The heaviness of the world. He says, "I'm humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls." You will find rest. "For my yoke is easy to bear, and my burden, the burden I give you, is light." Doesn't that sound great? Like, imagine if you were quarantined and you didn't have to do any work. Like, imagine if you were your 6-year-old kid that could just wake up whenever and eat whenever and watch whatever and just, I want you just to imagine where you were before all this craziness happened. How you would just spend a day off. That's what Jesus is talking about. You will find rest for your souls. Where do we go when we're feeling burdened? To Him. I want to show you an example, maybe a visual example of what I'm talking about right now. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer in the crowd. Anybody at all? What about you, handsome man? Why don't you join me? Would you do me a favor and give my very handsome son Ezekiel a big hand? Give him a big hand. I know you're not in the room, so you have to put emojis on the thing. Okay. Man, you look good. How are you doing?
Good.
You're kind of tired? Okay. Perfect. Okay, listen. Stand right here, kid. Okay. Ezekiel, or Chico as I like to call him, is going to represent you, me, everybody right now, okay? Everybody's walking around, and maybe you're generally optimistic or you're pessimistic. Either way, this Ezekiel, now, my Chico is optimistic, and so he wakes up happy, and he's awesome. I love him for that. But let's say he represents you, or me, or the guy that you saw in the grocery store wearing the mask, okay? Every one of us, we walk around every day, and we actually end up carrying things with us. Now, whether we like it or not, we carry things with us everywhere we go. And you and I didn't choose this, but each one of us is carrying something really heavy right now. Really heavy. This is my 20-pound bag of rice, cow rose rice. Each and every one of us is carrying a heavy weight with us, whether we like it or not. This coronavirus, this COVID-19, all of this stuff, we're carrying it with us. And I bet that if you're anything like me, man, you're even sometimes get freaked out about catching it or giving it to people. Do I have it already? I mean, there's been several thousand people that have been tested. Maybe you're one of them. But every one of us is carrying this thing. Okay, so turn around, kiddo. Wherever we go, whatever we do, we're just carrying it. Is that heavy? Probably like your backpack at school, right? All the books, yeah. And so we carry these things with us as we walk around, and it's just the weight, the heaviness of not being sure what's going to happen, not being sure about our life. And then what happens is then we end up talking to people. And when we talk to people, they talk about the things that they're carrying around too. And here's what it does. It adds stress to what's already happening in our life. And so as we talk to people, they go, "Man, can you believe what's happening in China and Italy? You got that real good. I know it's heavy. Can you believe what's happening? Back up just a little bit. Can you believe what's happening in China and Italy and these other places? And now the U.S. leads in these cases and everything's happening and all this stuff. And just like, and we end up carrying so much stress with us. And then we start to get anxious about our job. And maybe you're an essential worker and things are going good. And you're like, man, like, I'm glad I have a job, but I hope I don't catch it while I'm there. And you have anxiety when you wake up and you go to work, and there's all these things that are weighing you down. Maybe you're a non-essential worker and you're just feeling the anxiety of paying bills, or you're wondering, man, I got enough for this month or maybe even next month, but what are we going to do after that? Maybe you're thinking like a lot of us is thinking, as far as the economy is concerned, this is probably going to get worse before it gets better. So we're carrying this anxiety, and we walk around carrying these weights with us. And then we talk to people, and they add even more worry and stress to our lives, and they say, man, I can't believe in my auntie and my so-and-so and this person that I know, and have you heard about this person? And all they're doing is checking social media, and there's so many things coming against us. And for you and I, this is how we walk around, heavy burdened, weighed down by anxiety, worry, stress, all this stuff. But here's what Jesus is saying, and Chico's giggling a little bit because it is heavy. Here's what Jesus is saying. He says this. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. He says, I'm going to actually trade what you're carrying for peace and hope. I'm going to trade what you're carrying for love and grace. Do you want to trade with me?
Yeah.
Okay, let me help you. And what the Lord does, what Jesus does as we come to Him, is He slowly removes these things from our hearts and from our lives as we lean into the words that He says. He slowly takes these things from us and says, you know what, I'll take that. Why don't you give that to me? God, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how it's going to go. And He says, you know what, I can actually take this and I can carry this for you. In fact, I want to. And for you and I want you to know this morning that if we will run to Him, if we will give our burdens to Him, that He will trade it for His peace and His hope, for His grace. And this morning, if you get enough of this, He might even fly away, but it's meant to uplift us. It's meant to raise us up. Would you give Him a big hand? You did great. What a strong kid. We're going to be wrapping up in just a moment, but what I wanted you to know is that for you and I, Jesus comes along and He says this, come to me. Listen to my words. Let me give you my burden. My burden is light. It's uplifting. It's easy to bear. And so this morning, what I want you to know is God wants us to allow the Word of God to remove our burdens. You know, Jesus talked about this. In fact, Jesus and His disciples went through some rough stuff, and His disciples were even confused about a lot of things that Jesus said. And there was a point in His ministry where a lot of people deserted Jesus. They left. And so Jesus turns around to His disciples. Here's what He says. Then Jesus turned to the 12 disciples and asked, are you also going to leave? Listen, guys, that's what's happening to a lot of people. A lot of people have chosen, because everything is confusing, nobody knows what's happening, because of all the weight and the burdens and the stress, a lot of people are leaving. And Jesus says, are you also going to leave? And one of His disciples, Simon Peter, said, Lord, to whom would we go? You have the words that give eternal life. Where are we going to go? Nobody else has words that uplift the way that you do. Everyone else has words that just weigh down. Everyone else has words that just bury us. But for you and I, you've got to know this, that God has words of life. Simon Peter knew it. Listen, for you and I, this is a real deal. Maybe you don't know Jesus yet. Maybe you're just curious about all this thing. Maybe it's your first time tuning in. You're like, I don't even know. But maybe for you, you've been stressed out about this and really wondering where God is. I want you to know it's okay, but you need to recognize the truth. Nobody else has words like that balloon. Nobody else has words that will uplift us. And guys, this is what I was going through the other day. I woke up with all these things on my mind and my heart. You thought I forgot about that story, and even Jeremiah. I didn't. I'm getting back to it. But I woke up, and I was needing words from people, but I recognized I was carrying all these things. And when I turned to the Bible, I related with Jeremiah. And so let's finish that story. Jeremiah says, "Why then does my suffering continue? Why is my wound so incurable? Your help seems as uncertain as a seasonal brook, like a spring that has gone dry. I can't find refreshing anywhere." But then God responds. God speaks to Jeremiah. Here's what he says. "This is how the Lord responds. If you return to me, I will restore you." Family, I want you to hear that again. If you will return to me, I will restore you. So you can continue to serve me, so that you can continue to live, so that you can survive this storm that we're all in. If you speak good words rather than worthless ones. God is talking to Jeremiah, but he's really talking to you and me. He was talking to me that morning. He said, "Zach, if you speak good words rather than worthless ones, if you uplift people with what you say and not burden them down, if you listen to my words that uplift you, instead of tuning into the media and getting burdened down by all those things, you will be my spokesman." And here's what he says. You must influence them. Jeremiah, you must influence the children of Israel. Don't let them influence you. Maybe you're new to faith and you're like, I can recognize that. Like, there are some people that I talk to, and I don't know if they're believers or not, but after I talk to them, I feel lighter. When I leave having a conversation with them, I feel better. This is what is happening. Fam, listen, it's time to stop letting the media, the news, the economy, your friends, even your family, your co-workers pile all these things on top of us with these words. These worthless words that only weigh us down. It's time for us to come to Jesus and allow his words to lift our burden. It's time to return to him so that he can restore us. It's time to receive his burden, his words, and let go of ours. Maybe if you're a non-believer listening this morning, you don't understand faith, or you've been far from God for a long time, isn't it time to let go of all the things that you've been carrying? Wouldn't it be amazing if you found the place of just rest for your soul this morning? That's what happened to me the morning that I read Jeremiah. And I just began to read the word, and I began to allow the Lord to take off these burdens. And when I left that day, I was holding the balloon just like Chico. And I felt lighter, and I felt better. I felt the words of peace. In just one moment, Denisa's going to come, and she's going to pray a prayer over you and I. But I want you to take a quick second. I want you to think about that. Am I the person that needs my burden lifted? Is that me this morning? Am I the one that needs God to come over and just lift all those things? If that's you, I want you to know it's okay. But maybe you're one of the ones that you've been going to God every day, and you're feeling good about what's happening, even though the world is shaking around us, just like that song that we sang. Maybe it's your opportunity to begin pouring out good words. And right now, family, that's all we have. We can't reach out and touch anyone. The best we can do is FaceTime with most everybody that we know. How important is it for you and I to give words of life? I'm telling you right now, it's super important. So Pastor Denisa's going to come, and she's going to pray, and she's going to lead you in a prayer. And as that happens, I want you to just open yourself to him.
Thanks, Zach, for sharing that. And I don't know about you, but as he was sharing about that heavy burden, I thought about how many of us find ourselves throughout the day just feeling the heaviness of what's happening in the world around us. And I know for me, I kind of wrestled with this idea of my personality and maybe part of my love language is to get out there and do something. And so being home feels like I'm not really contributing or helping or doing enough. And maybe you're in that place as well where you've just had these heavy burdens for what's happening in our world, or maybe you feel weighed down by anxiety or fear or depression or any of the things that can cloud your mind and your heart. I want to pray for you. And it seems almost counterintuitive because it's like, well, we want to be out there, we want to help, we want to make a difference. And part of us making a difference is doing exactly what we're doing right now, watching church online. Part of us making a difference in our world is us staying home, which seems opposite of what we would normally want to do in a situation like this, in a crisis. But friends, I want to encourage you to continue. Stay home and continue to pray and continue to partner with those around you who might be hurting or going through a hard time. I want to encourage you that if you're struggling in this moment, that you're not alone. And not only are you not alone, but God is with you. He sees you and He is for you. So if you're willing, would you just right there in your living room, just take a moment and make an honest assessment of where you are. Maybe at this very moment you find yourself feeling heavy burdened. And it's so heavy it feels like you could just crumble under the pressure. Maybe in this moment you're finding yourself feeling lost. Maybe you scrolled and you found our page or somebody shared it with you and you're just wanting to hear some good news because all around you is bad news. All around you you're hearing difficult information and you're getting all of the reports and the updates. And this morning as you're listening to Pastor Zach share the message, or maybe you're listening to me right now and you're just in that place where you go, I really need Jesus to come in and to lift that heavy burden. I've been weighed down by all of the things that are happening. I've been weighed down, I've been overwhelmed by managing my home and working from home and trying to homeschool, and I've been weighed down by the financial burdens that are happening. Friend, if that's you, would you just reach out to us and say, yeah, that's me. I need prayer. Maybe you're watching online right now and you're saying, you know what? That was for me. I've been carrying this burden and it's been weighing me down. Can I pray with you? And if you're praying with me, you can, right there in your living room, you can just lift your hands as a sign of surrender, saying, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for trying to do it on my own. Maybe you can stand to your feet and just raise your hands as a sign of surrender. God, I'm giving this burden over to you. I don't want to carry it. It's ill-fitting. It's too heavy. It's too much. God, in your word you say that if we cast our cares upon you, that you care for us. And so right now, as a community of faith all across the globe, what we're doing is we're casting our cares upon you. We're saying these things have us worried or concerned, and they've been weighing on us. So right now, God, we're just choosing to give them over to you. We're choosing to hand it over to you, to surrender it over to you. We're choosing to give all of these things to you. And we're saying right now, God, we trust you. In Jesus' name. And if you said that prayer with me in faith, would you just say amen and amen? Hey, we have a team who is waiting online to pray for you, to pray with you, and you can click on the prayer button if you're watching on our church online platform, or comment in the comments below. But we just want to encourage you, connect with us. We want to pray for you. We know this is hard. We know this is a lot. But we want to partner with you in prayer and know that you are not alone. join us for a few more moments of worship as we just give those burdens over to Him. In Jesus' name.
Toward you and give you children and their children and their children. May His presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you. He is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, in your weeping, rejoicing. He is for you. 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 Amen. When we say amen to God, it just means yes. It just means yes, Lord. If you're watching online, and you would want to say that yes to God right now, even as we sing, you feel the burdens lifted. I want to encourage you. Click the button. Find faith in Him today. His burden is easy, His yoke is light, and you will find rest for your souls. Maybe you're watching on YouTube and there's nowhere to click. You know what? Do us a favor. Send us a message. Let us know so that we can pray with you and for you. And sing it again. Amen. Amen. We're going to sit here just one more moment.
Joining us this morning, and one of the ways that we want to connect with you throughout the week is we want to pray for you, and we want to encourage you to pray for others. And just from our Facebook feed, I saw that my Aunt Cecilia was watching from Monte Vista, Colorado, and my friend Lacey was watching from our Wimmel cohort, and there were Yvette was watching from Pearl City, and there were so many people tuning in from all over. And I just want to encourage you to continue to stay connected, to what God is doing, not only through our church, but stay connected to what God is doing in your community. And if you need prayer throughout the week, we'll be there. And one of the things that I love about Jesus is that even though we're here in Honolulu, Hawaii, in our living room, and some of you are sitting in your living room in Colorado or in different parts of the world, in different parts of the country, and we're all together right now in this moment. As we were praying, there were several folks who raised their hands and saying yes to Jesus for the first time. And I want to encourage you that if you're watching with our church online platform, you can click on the yes button. You can click on the prayer button to accept Jesus into your heart. Because here's the thing, you guys, is that Jesus is with us wherever we go. And this time that we're spending together, we're going to go on and do the other things that we have planned for our day. But I'm so grateful for a God who is personal, who is with us. And throughout the week, you can just replay these songs saying, Jesus, I love you. And replay the songs about God's blessing over your family. And pray that blessing over your family. So friends, as we close out our service today, one of the best ways that you can be a light is by sharing this information with other people. One of the best ways that you can be an encouragement to someone who's going through a hard time is to share this message with someone else. We thank you so much, and I just want to pray a prayer of blessing over you as we part today. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord's face shine upon you. May He give you favor. May He give you supernatural provision, supernatural peace. And in times like this, I pray that He would protect your families with supernatural protection. In Jesus' mighty name, amen and amen. Take a look at this video.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Even though you can't leave your house, I know you could spend your Sunday morning doing just about anything else. And so the fact that you spent it with us is amazing. We wanted to remind you, for any information that you need, check our website, elevatecommunity.church. If it is your first time with us, do us a favor, go online and click the I'm New button. You can fill out a Get Connected card. We'd love to give you some more information. But one thing we want you to know for sure is that we love you and we are in this together. You are not alone.